Today we're going to be talking about rotations, and our central question is, how do you write a rotation algebraically? So first, rotation is, it does not change the size of the figure, it just moves it around. So the rotations can be rotated to the right, which is clockwise, and clockwise is going to be, like we have a circle, we go that way, right? Clockwise, right, the way the clock goes. It can also go left, which is counterclockwise. What counterclockwise would be this way, right, from the circle, right, the opposite of what a clock would do. Okay, so there are some algebraic rules that we have to write. If your rotation is clockwise 90 degrees or counterclockwise, (270 degrees, this is what your algebraic expression will look like. You have your regular xy, and it's changing to y comma negative x. So you are changing the symbols on your x's. So if it's positive, you'll change it into a negative. If it's negative, you'll change it to a positive. Okay. The next one is, if you rotate it clockwise 180 degrees or counterclockwise 180 degrees, then it will look like this. We have xy, and it's changing to, both your x and your y will change the sign. Okay, whatever x is, change the sign, and same thing for the y. Okay. The third one that we have is, if you rotate it clockwise 270 degrees or counterclockwise 90 degrees, you'll have this. You have your regular xy, then when you do either clockwise or counterclockwise 90 degrees, you will only change your y but not your x. But the thing is, you're going to have to switch the x and y. So usually it's xy here. Now you're going to switch the y and switch it to the x, and then have the x there. So, okay, so we'll do a few examples like this. Okay. If you want to make a note for this right here, turns that are 90 degrees or 270 degrees, just like this one and this one, right? The x and y variables change place. Okay. Last thing I want to put as our information sheet, I want to put how many turns are 90, 180, 270, and 360. So for the rotations, we got 90 degrees will be 1 turn, 180 degrees will be 2 turns, 270 degrees will be 3 turns, and 360 degrees will be 4 turns. Okay, and this will help us in our questions here in a minute. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do this one right here. We have a triangle ABC, and we want to rotate the triangle ABC 90 degrees clockwise. So from our information sheet, that's going to be 1 turn. Clockwise, it's going to be to the right. Okay, so if you have some patty paper laying around or some parchment paper, you can go ahead and trace your ABC triangle. Right, you can trace it, and we're turning it clockwise 1 time, just like that. Okay, so let's go ahead, and with our rules, we have that it is going to clockwise 90 degrees. We're going to switch the x and y and then get the x as a negative. Okay, so first we're going to have a 2 here. Then we're going to get -9, but switch it because it's the opposite of the original. Okay. For b, we'll put 7 and then not -5, but +5 because it is the opposite. Negative means opposite. And then for c, we're going to put your y first, then your -1 turns into a 1. Okay. So let's go ahead and plot these. We've got a prime is 2, 9, so right here, that's a prime. 7, 5 is right here, that's going to be your b prime. And c prime will be 2, 1. Okay. And that kind of looks like the thing that we put on our patty paper, right? Because if we had our parchment paper, wax paper, whatever you want to call it, and we rotate it once clockwise, we get that. Okay, that's what the rotation looks like. It's from the center. You see how that 0, 0 point is not changing? It rotates just like that. And we get those points. Okay, so our algebraic representation will be this right here. The y changes to the x, and then our x, it changes to the y, and we have to switch the sign. Okay, now let's look. Rotate triangle ABC clockwise, 180 degrees clockwise. So 180 degrees clockwise, we just do -x, -y. Okay, so 180 degrees is actually 2 turns to the right, right? Because 180 is 2 turns, and then clockwise is to the right. And then we know, because we have it in our information sheet, that we just need to do the opposite of each sign. Okay, so instead of -9, I have 9 and -2, right? The opposite signs. 5, -7, and 1, -2, right? Opposites. Okay. So if I go ahead and plot those, I get 9, -2. So right here, that is A prime. B is 5, -7. And then 1, -2 is C prime. Okay, and let me get my parchment paper again. We have this, and let me go ahead and cut this so that way it's a little bit easier to rotate. So I got it's the same triangle from the first one. I have this. We're gonna rotate it 2 turns to the right because it's 180 degrees clockwise. So that's 1 turn, and then 2 turns. Right? And you see it matches up with the points. I didn't put the lines, but it matches up with the points. And it works out. Right? Again, I did my original. It stays centered. We got 1 turn here. That's 90 degrees. And then 180 degrees will be my second turn. Just like that. And it matches up. Okay, so our algebraic representation, we said it's x, -x, and -y. Okay. Let's do these last two. It says rotate triangle ABC is the same triangle, and we're going to rotate it 270 degrees clockwise. So 270, if we look here, it is 3 turns. So we're going to put turn 3. And clockwise is to the right. Okay. So 270 degrees clockwise. We have 270 right here, clockwise, and we're switching the sign, but now we're switching the x and y, and then we're switching the value of y. Okay. So first we're going to have a 2 that turns into a -2, and then we switch that 9 to the y value. -9, sorry. Switch the 7 to a -7 and put it as the x, and then put the -5 as the y. Okay. And then switch the 2 to a -2 and put it as the x, and then keep the x as the y as a regular number. Okay. So let's go ahead and plot these and see what we get. Got -2, -9. That is A prime. B prime, -7, -5. C prime is -2, -1. And then that should be our triangle. Let me check. Okay. So I have my triangle here. Right, it's the same triangle. Turn it 1 time, that's 90 degrees. Turn it 2 times, that's 180 degrees. And then turn it a 3rd time, which is 2. And once we do our 3rd turn, it does match up. Okay? So our algebraic representation, we switch the y and the x, and then we switch the value, the positive and negative signs on the y. Okay. Let's do this last one. We have the same triangle, but now we're doing 90 degrees counterclockwise. So counterclockwise is actually to the left, but 90 degrees is still 1 turn. Okay, so let's look at our information sheet. We have 90 degrees counterclockwise. So we have 90 degrees clockwise. We don't want that. We want 90 degrees counterclockwise. So we want this one. Okay, so we're going to switch the x and y and then put a negative with the y. Okay, so here we're going to switch x and y and then put a negative with the y. So it's going to be like this. Okay, so it's basically the one that we just did. Okay, so -7, -5, -2, -1. Okay, let me plot those real quick. A prime is -2 to -9. B prime is -7, -5. And then C prime is -2, -1. Right. Now let's get our piece of paper. Okay. Counterclockwise is to the left, so I'm not going this way, I'm actually going this way. Okay, so when I do that, they should match up. So only 1 time, oh, I can't do it. Only 1 time like this, and they match up. Right. So our algebraic representation, it was we switched the x and y, and that y, we flipped the signs.